Sal Polisi was a mobster for more than 15 years. He worked for two of the best-known organized crime families in New York City. Polisi is now featured in a 6-part series on the National Geographic Channel. It is called Inside the American Mob.
I was born and raised in Brooklyn. From the time I was about 4 or 5 years old, I was introduced to the American mob through an uncle of mine. I go to Manhattan, I meet this guy, say, listen, you know what? Johnny Dio says you owe him a favor. You got to go to Miami. Here's an address and here's a name. And this is what he wants done. And I look and I listen, I say, hey, no problem. He opens up a drawer and he says, now take this with you. I look down and it's a Sheffield knife. He says, and you know what you got to do.
Polisi later joined the Witness Protection Program. He testified against other mobsters in several high-profile trials. Our senior correspondent, John Miller, covered some of those cases early in his career. Welcome. It's good to have you.
Good morning. Good morning, Charlie.
What is it?
Good morning.
You know, I'm from The Godfather to all of this fascination with the mob. What is it?
You know, I really think, looking back as a kid in the 50s, I'm a little older, I'm between you and John. You know, it was a time, it was a fascination. You have to understand, everything, by the way, was secretive in those days. Baseball, Hollywood, government, and the mob. So there was a mystique. And as we moved into the 70s, some of that stuff started to shed. I mean, the Godfather movie was pretty accurate about the life. Sure, it was fictionalized. But they took a lot of those little stories, those vignettes, and they used them. And people were fascinated, and they had a fear. Even in the Whitey Bulger trial recently, the jurors said they were afraid. What they don't realize is, where I come from, I can say this, the mob and criminals, they don't have power. The government has got the power, more power now than ever. So it's my opinion that we're going to see, you know, a changing time with crime. It's just that we have to work on education, a la Chicago and murders.
Did you like being a gangster? Because you seem to get so excited about when we were talking in the green room. Your nickname was Crazy Sal.
Right.
What made you so crazy, number one? And did you like being a gangster?
Yes, I liked having pockets full of money, going to regimes in Studio 54, and the guys moving the tables just like it did in Henry's movie Goodfellas.
Yes.
And paying for whatever we needed, sometimes not paying, yes. They treated us special, sort of like rock stars in New York in the 70s. Yes,
you knew it was wrong.
Yes, I knew it was absolutely wrong.
John, you covered the mob here in New York. You knew John Gotti.
Sure.
You know, was Gotti the most glamorous of all that, and was he different?
Well, Gotti tricked the system because, I mean, we were coming out of, you know, I grew up in the Godfather generation, came of age as a reporter in the Goodfellas times.
John Miller,
covered
look at
those
you in the monitor for just a second. Look at you, John Miller, John Gotti.
Handsome guy.
You got to take a moment. Yeah.
That's at least 40 pounds ago.
Yeah.
But you know, then John Gotti emerges among a bunch of bosses like Carlo Gambino. These were these old stooped men wearing flannel shirts buttoned to the top who, you know, claimed to be legit. And this guy walks out onto the scene and he looks like the gangsters we know from the movies. It was the ultimate life imitating art.
That's probably why he got the look.
He probably did. I mean, he probably watched all the movies and adapted his character, but the public ate it up because he was the gangster that they expected.
There is also this. There is always the idea of the violence that's there.
Right.
And the manner of using the violence.
Right. I got to tell you, NYPD was so impressed with John Gotti in the summer of '77. A lot of people don't know this. I didn't even write this in my book, The Sinatra Club. They came to the club in Ozone Park and said, look, there's a crazy man running around killing women. We think his name is Son of Sam. If you can help us find him, we'll give you a play for a year. We won't even bother you in this neighborhood.
If you'll help us.
Help us find the Son of Sam.
And did you?
No, because Gotti didn't have that, you know, omnipotent power. Of course not. We couldn't find Son of Sam.
No, but you could have helped. I mean, did you try to help?
But John wouldn't help any cop.
Ever. But Sal, you say that there's really only 3 reasons why you'd be killed by the mob.
In those days, yes. You disobeyed your boss if you're a made member, okay?
Yeah.
Made member, you were supposed to be protected, but also there was a flip side. You disobeyed your boss, you were an informant, or you slept with a woman who was the wife of a daughter of a made man.
Yeah.
So once I learned that, I realized later on, I don't want to be made.
I don't want to do that.
I don't want to be made because, well, about sleeping with the women.
That's what I'm talking about.
No, I want to do that, but I don't want to get whacked for disobeying. So I decided not to take the oath. The minute you sign up to take the oath, people don't realize you're signing your own death warrant. they have the right to kill you, because now you have to adhere to omertha. You have to adhere to the boss.
We talked about witness protection program.
Right.
Clearly, you don't seem concerned because you're here on CBS this morning.
Right.
Why are you not worried?
You know, I said
About somebody hurting you.
I said this to Matt Lauer 23 years ago. We're in the studio live, and if they know it, when I go out, we're going to have an exciting end of this show.
Yeah.
I've always been on the edge for danger, and that was my sense of excitement, whether it was sports, whatever I was doing. You know, I'll still do bungee jumping at this age because I like excitement. I like danger.
But you're in witness protection.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yes and no. I use both
exactly.
names, ironically. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Matt Lauer on this show one more time. You're going to be in witness protection for a long time. Does anybody tell you anything about this?
Well, I know it's like the Five Families. CBS.
This show may have a very exciting ending when you and I go outside.
I was thinking, John, did you say that name? Sal,
You're
loves it.
competitive.
Thank
I
you,
love it.
Sal. Great to have you here.
Yeah,
John.
fun.
Yeah, you won't be back.
He won't be back.
Who are they talking about? I don't even know.
I don't know.
The season finale of Inside the American Mob airs this Sunday, August 25th on National Geographic Channel.